Do you think a 30-year mortgage is right for you? Today, we're going to talk about a few of the things that you should think about before you sign on the dotted line. Let's go. The real estate companies and the banks have made things so expensive. Hardly anybody can afford them now. We all still have the desire to own our own home, but taking that route is such a burden. If it takes 30 years to pay off something you buy, you probably can't afford it. Just because the monthly payment is low and they make it look affordable, that doesn't mean that you're going to be happy with that term and that loan. In 28 years or 15 years, you're going to still be paying. That is such a huge commitment that I personally wouldn't go there. I think if you take out a loan, you should try to pay it off in 10 years. And if that's more than you can handle, you're going to have to look for a simpler, smaller house, something you can afford. And believe me, you'll be way happier if you do it. The reason they make it 30 years and they stretch it out is to lower the monthly payment. You're still paying a lot because they want to get their interest in that monthly payment as well. So they're going to stretch out as long as they can to make it seem cheap. But really, that's a huge cost, and you are signing up for a huge commitment if you sign a 30-year mortgage. So if you can't pay something off in 10 years, it's probably not a good idea to get it. You know, a lot can happen in 30 years. I mean, you can have a family crisis, you can have a job crisis, you can have a personal crisis. You never know. 30 years is a long time of your life. So I'm not saying don't get a mortgage. My son got a 10-year mortgage and paid it off early. And that is just so awesome and so much more manageable. And then you're freed up. You don't want your mortgage to take up like such a big chunk of your life. You want a house and you might have to get a mortgage, but it's much better if your mortgage takes up a little chunk of your life and then you have a lot of life to plan ahead. Beyond the mortgage. You can live mortgage free for a long time, which is ultimately the goal. In order to get a 10-year mortgage, I mean, you're going to have a more modest homestead, a smaller house to be affordable, because obviously the shorter the loan, the bigger the monthly payment's going to be. So you're going to have to look at something a little smaller, just something a little simpler, but really the fun of it all is putting your personal touch on it and making it your own. I think it's ridiculous that every generation has to start over and go out and buy their own new home or whatever. The media nowadays has all the young people convinced that they have to go out and find the bigger, better deal. Everything has to be brand new, and it's just not really the best way to go when you're trying to accomplish a happy life. Young people have the idea that grandma's stuff or mommy's stuff isn't good enough, but really they could put their own twist on it and make it their own and have a lot of fun doing it and a lot less stress of being way in debt. So I just think that is such a fantastic idea to consider for families, is to pass on the homesteads. Build a family homestead where everybody's involved. That is so awesome and so enjoyable. There's already a lot to think about in day-to-day life. I mean, you have chores, shopping, cooking. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your children, your family members. And you have repairs on the house, you have the car to upkeep. There are already so many things you have to do that's stressful. And to add an expensive 30-year mortgage on top of that is almost unbearable, and it does take your health down. Stress is not good for your health, and that is a lot of stress to be under, to know you have to come up with that payment each and every month without fail for the next 30 years of your life. That is something to really put a lot of thought into before you sign the mortgage. I'm not saying don't get a mortgage, but a more realistic mortgage that's going to be more manageable is going to be a 10-year mortgage. And if you can get a 10-year mortgage and pay that off even faster, all the better. You are going to just be so much happier. So it's something that we have just learned through doing it this way and then being like, oh, that's not for me with the mortgage, and then trying to think about things and change it and try to go to a mortgage-free lifestyle, and we have accomplished it. That's what I teach my children. Now they've done it, and it's just, you're so much happier and healthier if you can just get on that road and have that mindset opposed to the easy, fast way and get the 30-year mortgage, which does not end up being easy at all. It takes a toll on you. A lot of people might be saying right now, it is so hard to get a mortgage a non-traditional way and to get a house. But getting and paying off a 30-year mortgage is really hard too. It's really hard to pay off a 30-year mortgage. And once you put the legwork into getting a cheap mortgage or getting a small house and fixing it up and trying to be mortgage free, there is a lot of initial legwork involved, but once you get over that hump, it is so much easier because all the stress of that 30-year mortgage is not on your back anymore. When you have a 30-year mortgage, you are so enslaved to that mortgage. I mean, you might want to tell your boss something at work, but you're terrified of losing your job because you have that big mortgage hanging over your head that you have to come up with month after month after month. That affects you. It affects who you are. When you're mortgage free, you can just be yourself, and you don't have to put up with this job. You don't have to put up with that job. You've already learned to be very conservative and you have a lot of skills to take care of yourself, provide for yourself, grow food for yourself. You are so much freer. You are just not enslaved to everybody around you because they are responsible for your survival. They can make you or break you. And you don't feel that when you're mortgage free and you have homesteading skills. And the good thing about a 10-year mortgage is you can see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're signing on the mortgage. And if you can pay it off even quicker, all the better. When you sign a 30-year mortgage, people can't even comprehend 30 years in the future, where you're going to be, how you're going to be. Anything. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. Who wants to sign away their life to something like that? It is just ridiculous. That's why I highly recommend the homesteading lifestyle. You have more control over your own life, and you just refuse to sign up for all those bills and be enslaved to all those mortgage companies, even credit card companies. You don't even want to be part of that. You just want to be your own independent, kind of self-sustaining person. You will be much healthier and happier.